Morning, happy sunrise. Good morning. Join with me in honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Phil, you have education.
Pray with me, please. Father, we thank you for this chance that we have here to be together to discuss things that our Rotary Club can do. We thank you for this group. We thank you for all that you've given us throughout the evening, and we look forward to an exciting day as we try to live our motto of service above self. Thank you for the gift of your Son, Jesus, for we offer this prayer in his name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Hunter. All right. Several. Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Hunter. All right. Good morning. You say one more time. All right. All right. He just said he's going to verify. Yes, sir. What do you need?
I have a problem. I had a problem this morning. I was very disappointed and upset.
All right.
And I think that if you have a president, you should lead by example.
Yes, sir.
And if the president doesn't tell you 6 weeks ago where he's supposed to be, if he cannot get the message to you, he needs to be fined.
I agree. And he's getting the money right now. Thank you.
And then while he's going through telling you to take you out and give you $5.
All right. And so a little confused this morning, but there was a notice sent out about 6 weeks ago. And I remember this morning when I got up, I told Tanya, I said, there's something I think we are meeting differently. And it worked out. You got it set up. So we're covered in divine intervention. You got it. All right, listen. Yes, sir.
Ken Klotz left early.
What is this for?
Ken Klotz, he left early.
Okay, good deal. All right. Here's an issue. We got one that, first of all, is anything good for Rotary? Anyone want to make an announcement or anything that you would like to benefit Rotary? Something that goodwill or anything you want to say? You've got the floor for a second, for a minute. Okay, anyone? Yes, sir.
Reminder to put money in the bucket.
Okay, I need $1 for that announcement. All right, good deal. All right, good. All right, here we go. Got a issue.
Just like that.
All right, some of you probably have seen this. I've had calls, the phone has been flooded. Hickory Daily Record, front page. It says, the mural is all up and ready, and there is Bob Steiger holding an artwork. Now, here's the word that I had a call about.
That's here it is.
Here we go. Oh, here it is. I had a call. The word was, they wanted to know if that was the squirrely underwear he had holding it up for the mural to paint. But I don't know if that was the squirrely girly underwear that we had. And remember last week, he has possession of it. So, I don't know anything to this, Mr. Steiger.
Sir?
Anything to this, that you were holding up something?
I already paid.
Yeah, I know you paid $2, but that doesn't mean you agree. Anyway, now here's the question. Service above self.
No, that's self. No.
There was no
I stand corrected. Jim Starkey, tell him what that flag represents.
It looks like to me it's
Don't pull Jim.
Jim. Hey, Jim.
What?
What's the flag represent?
Unless you want something.
It represent a lot besides the country.
There you go.
all right.
See, you didn't get the part, they didn't get the part up here with the rest of the flag on it.
Ooh.
That's even worse.
Anyway, all right.
Oh.
He has already paid $2.
That's
Kenny's money. Kenny's money.
I'll pay $2 when I'm
That's
off.
Kenny's money.
That's Kenny's money. That wasn't it. Of course, he paid to leave early and $1. He didn't know what, but this is more than $1. I need at least one more from you.
That's right.
What was that, Rick?
Well, unless I'm mistaken, I thought the rule was, if it was a picture of one of us in service above self,
Yes.
everybody ends $1 in the cart bucket.
Right.
If it's not service above sale,
right.
person in the picture pays $5.
I know. Oh, well, I knew it was coming.
I have a question, sir.
All right, I will give you some change back. There you go.
Hey,
All right,
get yours.
I'm gonna stay out of that. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Sergeant Arm,
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Arm.
Yes, sir.
In the picture, it looks like, as Jim pointed out, that part of the flag is missing. So I'm assuming it was torn off. Does that desecration of the flag, should we have to take more?
That's beyond my control right now, so.
Now, it's also my understanding that since so many of us deal with Bob and let him work on our cars, that he's going to put on the bottom of it, paid for by Hickory Sunrise. I was just
And I let you in the door this morning.
Here,
I am a nice guy.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't wait to be here this morning.
All right, good deal. Sure, it's all yours.
Nice. Let's do this. Anything with them,
Put that on your building.
Right.
Something like it.
Thank you for being here this morning. This is a great room with one major exception, sound. It echoes like crazy. Our program this morning will be put on by a friend of mine with whom I have worked and met and discussed things the last few years, actually. Her bio is on the information on the front of the photo. I'll let Lynn Movilla from representing Eagle Rock Camp share some thoughts with you. So please welcome Lynn Movilla.
Thank you. First off, y'all are full on fun in my Rotary Club. I'm a member of the Tom Bellman. I forgot my name, so I realized that when I was driving up. Thank you so much for letting me invite myself. I'm reaching out to the Rotaries and other civic organizations, trying to just get the word out about what we do and see who wants to walk on this journey with us. Support, you can support in a lot of different ways, and I'll talk about that towards the end. I wanted to just really introduce everybody to camp and tell you what we do. We have had a really good partnership with some different departments here at Lenore Rhine, and last year their School of Business and Socialpreneurship right over there in Mount Hall worked with us and did a business review. And out of there they said, Lynn, what does Eagle Rock do? And I started down we do therapeutic retreats and reconnect military families. They said, no, what do you do? They had to ask me, I counted 11 times before the light bulb went off, and I went, oh, we save lives. And he's like, that's what you do, that's your story. So we have changed our story recently, so if I fumble over words, I apologize. You're like the second group of people I've talked to about this. But we totally revised our marketing. Our board sat down and we did our vision and mission statement. So real quickly, we save lives. Whose lives do we save? Military families. We save our warriors, we save spouses, and we save children as young as 10 years old. So our mission statement, you can see it over here. We do use faith in action. We are a faith-based organization, which simply means we minister spiritually and prayerfully with permission. We also work with the hidden wounds of war, which are the spiritual and moral wounds, and you can't heal those without faith. So how many of you in the room are veterans? Keep your hands up. How many of you guys are veterans? How many of you serve in active duty or National Guard? Keep your hands up.
Served.
And are currently in the National Guard. But y'all keep your hands up because I'm going to make a point. How many of you have a veteran or a National Guard member or somebody active duty in your family now? More hands are going up. How many of you just know somebody that's served or is a veteran? Every hand in the room goes up. The point is, service in the military impacts everybody in America, whether you know it or not. So it's our responsibility. We've come to believe in our heart of hearts at camp that it is our responsibility as civilians to take care of these men and women that serve for us. So our vision, I mentioned the hidden wounds, our vision is that all of our military families heal from the hidden wounds of war. Is that a realistic vision? Yes and no. Yes, it's realistic and we're sure going to try hard. Can we do it? No. Why not? Because there's 20 million veterans in America. Since 9/11 alone, there's over 3 million that have deployed. And when you look at the numbers, that impacts 3 million families. We're one little group down here in North Carolina. Can we reach 3 million people? It would take us, we figured it out, so I can put a number to it. It would take us 100 years to get those 3 million through a retreat one time. So can we do it? No, but it's a really great thing to aspire to, and it's something really good to say to people. So how do we do what we do? We do it in 6-day, 5-night retreats that are holistic, they're therapeutic. We do a combination of interactive workshops and outdoor recreation. And then we have a 2-year aftercare program. We say it's 2 years, but our very first retreat was 5.5 years ago. And we still talk to them, they still struggle. When I said in the beginning that we save lives, it comes around when we connect with people, we give them a connectedness that is one of the things that stops that action in people. We reconnect them to their true selves and to their families. We try really hard to encourage them to go back to their own communities and reconnect there, and to connect with their faith. And then please go to church or synagogue, or we're finding a lot of the veterans that we work with, especially the younger ones, are turning to Buddhism, or whatever helps you get back to your faith and your core beliefs. In doing that, I'll share one quick story with you. Our very first retreat, I was dealing with a young man who was pacing back and forth and stomping his feet, slamming his fist with every single word he said. And he was talking about his trauma. He was talking about his lack of family support. He was telling me how he was going to take his life at camp. And he got very descriptive. At the end, I can't tell him, not give away his age. He ended up sitting in my lap crying. This little boy was 10 years old. And he was traumatized by his father's PTSD, because his dad's way of anger management was to beat the crap out of his mother. His mother was hospitalized multiple times. He's now 15 years old. He still struggles. He's almost 16. He's always struggled. He's always been in therapy, and twice a year he still goes to that dark place. And his mother calls me and said, "I've got to pull him out. I'm out of ideas. What do I do?" I talk to his therapist. I am not a therapist. His mother is a psychologist, and she can't help him. So it's like, doctor, heal yourself. A lot of doctors can't do that. So we do really serious work. We try to have fun at camp. I'm the chief camper and s'mores maker, but out here I'm the founder and executive director. So, any questions so far? I want to share with you a 2-minute video we made showing this. The video is about me, but I'm not showing it because it's about me. I'm showing it because it has testimonials from 2 of our families. You know what? We didn't testify on this.
Well, we're about to
We're
find
about to find out. We got excited with it. So this was a story we just did in April. And it's the Everyday Heroes story that Spectrum News does. So this was broadcast. I found out like the day after it broadcast, this went statewide. I thought it was just a regional thing. But I had people from the beach saying, "I'm on vacation and I'm watching the news, and who shows up but you?" So this is just really good, and that it has our family a couple of.
It can be difficult having a loved one in the military, but sometimes it can be even more difficult when they return home. In this edition of Everyday Heroes, Ewan Jones has more on a place that brings families together.
Rebecca Parker and her daughter Rachel are like a lot of military families. Their routine is hard to find.
He's gone. We have to do everything, and usually my kids pick up the slack as far as the extra chores.
So you would think when Parker's husband David returns from deployment, things would calm down. They do something, but David also acts differently.
But when he's talking to us, he still has that soldier mode, so he's not as sensitive or, he was once before he was deployed.
A few years ago, with tensions high, the family enrolled in a camp aimed at restoring a sense of normalcy.
My official camper on my t-shirt is Chief Camper and S'mores Maker.
Lynn Marilla is the founder of Eagle Rock Camp.
This is beyond anything I could ever have thought of.
She started the camp in 2010 after getting bored in retirement. The camp offers week-long retreats to military families around the country. They provide therapeutic recreation and workshops focused on everything from relationship building to financial literacy.
You're surrounded by other military families who have faced similar circumstances.
Tommy and Jackie Watson went to the camp around 5 years ago. Tommy is a military chaplain.
Lynn has discovered, I'll call it a secret niche to connecting with military families in a way that the government has not been able to.
Marilla didn't work with military members before retirement, but she's definitely made a connection. 130 families have gone through the camp, which is free. Marilla says they've not only restored marriages, they've saved lives, averting, she says, 8 suicides.
My eyes leak a lot. It's given me a bigger heart than ever for these military families. They are some of the most precious people I've ever met.
As for the Parkers, they are starting to develop a routine and return to a more connected family.
The thing that I took away from camp the most was we really learned how to sit and talk about our feelings without getting like emotional or mad or angry. We sat and we could understand each other.
Something that might not have been possible if it weren't for everyday hero.
I think God put a special warmth in our heart for veterans.
Lynn Marilla. In Charlotte, Reuben Jones, Spectrum News.
If you would like to learn more about Camp Eagle Rock, you can visit our website, spectrumlocalnews.com. And if you have an idea for our next Everyday Hero, email us at everydayheroes@charter.com. Tune in Monday at 5 to see our next.
That was filmed in April. Since April, I had to change this whole time. We have now averted our mass suicide. It happened in May. The mother of 5 kids, who is part of the dual military husband's active Air Force. She is medically retired. She has the most severe PTSD I've ever seen. She had a very horrific childhood. I've never heard a childhood story as bad as hers. Then she went in the military and was victimized, went to war, was a medic. You can imagine what medics go through. So we're up to 9. I'm proud of that because it's 9 people that are still with us. That's only 9 that we know about, that we don't know who else we've saved that haven't told us. But these are people we have actively participated in. You know, when I'm in the middle of writing a grant, it's serious work where you've got to be super hyper-focused, and you get a phone call from a husband that's panicked, and you can hear the emotion and hear the tears in his voice. I can't find her, I can't find her. What do I do? It's like the little boy that ended up in my lap. I didn't know what to say to him. It was our first retreat, and I was so unprepared. As a result of the 10-year-old story, I am now certified in mental health first aid and suicide prevention de-escalation. Are those things I ever thought I'd do in my career? Absolutely not. But I wouldn't have it any other way because these families are so special. Some other things that we've done in our results, and the results have been hard to track because so much of what we do, you can't put a measurement tool to it. You know, when you watch people's body language change from standing apart from each other to sitting there with an arm around each other at the workshop table, when you watch them holding hands, when we have a photographer that volunteers and comes and does family portraits for one afternoon. And she loves to do it down at the barn. The facility you saw is Camp Harrison up in Boomer. And she loves to go down to the barn and have the couple stand in the background and be hugging and kissing, and the kids are down front going, ooh, they're kissing, and then they're hiding their faces, they're making ugly faces. And those are some of the favorite pictures from our parents when they see that. And the kids are like, oh yeah, we remember that. And we take lots and lots of pictures and the family portraits and all and go home. Let them take them home. 78, some of our statistics, 78% of our families said that their marriages were better and they had improved well-being for their family. Well-being is, these things are all important because they all lead up to the big statistic at the end. 65% of them have agreed to implement self-care when they go home because they're not taking care of themselves. They're not eating right, they're not sleeping right. We hear this more from our lawyers that come that are disabled or injured. We hear that from their spouses. The spouses are so caught up with taking care of 5 kids and taking care of the lawyer, they can't even, the biggest complaint I get is, Ms. Lynn, how do I get my kids to not knock on the bathroom door when I go in there and shut the door? How do I stop them from walking in? I said, lock the door. They're like, oh. I said, you gotta train them. You know, when mom's in the bathroom, leave her alone. Things that simple that we don't think about, but these families are like, I can't do anything. We teach financial readiness. We're all about marriage and family wellness. Part of that is financial readiness. The topics that we cover, I should have said this sooner, the topics that we cover are communication, relationship building, conflict resolution, financial readiness, and primary self-care. We teach the children the exact same skill sets we teach the adults. We have a really nice partnership with Thriving Financial, who has a good footprint across America. Our family so far come here from 27 states. And we have applications from all 50 states, from Puerto Rico, Germany, and then we have Canadian lawyers that want to come. And when I asked them, why you're Canadian? And they said, well, would we come up there? And I said, no, not at this time. Maybe in the future. And they said, can we come to you? And I said, I don't know how our American lawyers would feel about that. And they said, well, they train us. I didn't know this, but we train the Canadian lawyers. We especially train their special operators, their version of our SEALs and Rangers, those kind of guys. We teach them, and I didn't know that, so I learned a lot. So 72% of our couples commit to implementing the financial things that we have taught them. And what Thriving teaches is saving, spending, giving. So those are really good things, and the kids each get a big piggy bank that's divided up into these different quadrants. They love their piggy banks. 67% leave with a renewed sense of community. When we survey lawyers, and the Blue Star Family Group comes out with an annual survey, our survey pretty much matched theirs. Ours was about 22%, theirs was only 18%. But only 18 to 22% of veterans and National Guard and active duty feel that civilians understand them. Those of you in the room that are veterans, do you feel in the community that we understand you out here? No, we don't. You know, why do we have to do a stand down? Why can't these guys get jobs? And you know, what's with the homeless issue among veterans? What's with the, you know, people pick it apart? Well, why can't they just suck it up? Because they can't. If you ask me to quote 2 statistics, these are the 2 big ones. 2.5% is our divorce rate. Nobody, no other organization can claim that. The divorce rate in America starts at 8% and goes up. The divorce rate in the military starts at 9% and goes up. The divorce rate among Navy SEALs and Rangers, all these special operations guys, the EAD warriors that are the bomb squads that go in first, is 95%. And most of those guys are married 4 and 5 times. So it's, you know, it's tough out here. So when I tell you our stay together rate is 97.5%, I get goosebumps, we get excited, because that's something that's phenomenal. The biggest thing we measure, and we want this number to go up, 63% tell us their hope for the long-term future of their family has gone up. When you have hope, ideations of suicide don't even start. So there's a lot of organizations out here that are trying to do suicide prevention, but they do it down the road when you're having ideations. We have come to understand that it starts back here with what we do. It starts back with getting the family on track, getting back to your faith, healing from these hidden wounds. So we're starting to have a conversation with some other organizations to say, send them to us first, and then let's go for your treatment program for PTSD. One up in Blue Mountain, Virginia, we really recommend, and it's Overcrest. And they do post-traumatic growth. And the man that wrote their program is a professor at UNC Charlotte. So kind of got some local roots tied into that. The other thing I wanted to mention to you guys is our future. And we are trying to do 2 things at one time. We're trying to expand and grow our program, which means doing more retreats. We're only doing a few retreats a year, and it's just not enough. The numbers I gave you, 3 million deployed people since 9/11. That's a lot of people. And we do get those warriors. We are open to all eras. We even had a Vietnam veteran come to a retreat with his wife. And that was quite special because he got to share how they'd been married for 47 years. That was really cool. And the younger warriors just kind of hung around him for a while. We do this at no cost to the warriors and their families, so we have to raise a lot of money. It costs on average $3,000 for a family of 4. If you have 4 or 5 kids, the cost goes up. The family of 4 is mom, dad, and 2 kids. The cost goes up about $550 for every additional child. So if you come in with 5 or 6 kids, the cost is, $4,500, $5,000. We do not provide transportation. We just can't. It's just not. Transportation can cost as much or more than the retreat. We did one for EOD Warriors 2 years ago, and they provided the EOD Warrior Foundation paid for it and provided transportation, and the cost of transportation exceeded the cost of the retreat. So when we had those hard numbers, I said, we probably will never cover the cost of transportation. So we have to raise a lot of money to do that, and we're working on that right now. And you're going to hear us doing a lot of stuff in the next 4 months. Over in Burke County more than here, but you'll still hear it because we'll be doing things here too. We're kind of test marketing things in Burke County that you start small, you do it well, because the military gives you one chance to get it right. So we know we have to be small and good, and then next year we'll make it bigger, and then we'll make it better and grow from there. Our biggest challenge right now is where do we do this? To get up to our goal, long-range goal is to do 24 to 30 retreats a year. But right now our business model is to rent third-party facilities, like you saw in the video. That's YMCA Camp Harrison, which is owned by the Charlotte line. It's up in Boomer. They can only take us 2 weeks a year. So we're looking at other facilities over near Asheville. We're looking at the Black Mountain YMCA. We're looking at some church camps in Hendersonville. That puts our team on the road 24 to 30 times a year. And y'all work. Would you take a job where you were gone 8 days at a time? Because the retreat is 6 days. We have to go a day early and stay a day late. If it's where we can drive back and forth, then it's 6 days. But if, like, we do a retreat in Wisconsin every year, that's an 8-day retreat, because we've got 2 travel days. If I ask you to go on the road and leave your family 30 times a year, 8 days at a time, would you still work for us? No. It kills your family time. So our long-range goal is to have our own facility. We do want to get away from the high ropes and zip lines because we have discovered that does not build a family team. A lot of times the warriors have physical wounds that keep them from going up that 50-foot tower. So they're on the ground, and the kids are up there, the spouse is up there, they are screaming at them. They're yelling, they're just sucking up. The people up there can be scared to death. You can imagine a little kid. You have to be 6 to get out there with a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old or even a spouse, 50 feet in the air, scared to death. And you had to do 2 zip lines to get down. And then you have to go around the high ropes and then zip down. And they're petrified when they get up there. And you've got somebody down on the ground yelling at you to suck it up, just jump. Well, a 10-year-old to just jump off a 50-foot tower and ride the zip line down. We have more tears and more crying. So we want to get back down to teaching sustainable farming, dirt therapy and beekeeping, have some sheep. We're talking to Veterans Healing Farm in Hendersonville that will help us put this program together. We're looking at also expanding to include our own facility, equine-assisted psychotherapy. So got a lot to do in the future. We have found some property in Burke County that we like. Will it still be there when we're financially able to buy it? I don't know. It's already been on the market 8 years, so I don't think it's going anywhere fast, and the guy will not come a penny off the price. And guess what? He's a Marine. So we haven't gotten to talk, haven't been blessed to be able to speak with him yet, but he likes what we do, and he has told his agent to tell me that we're a program that he can get behind. So with that said, I I know I've thrown a lot at you because there's a lot going on. What questions do you guys have? Got any questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
You asked for a show of hands, and I'm not a veteran, although I am a veteran of family time. Dad was career Navy,
Yeah.
and so.
So you grew up with it?
Sorry.
You grew up
Yes.
military days?
Yeah. I'm a Navy brat. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia, like about half of all Navy brats.
I know a lot of Navy brats from Norfolk.
And it's easy for people, I think, civilians or people who haven't had military experience in some way, to understand what goes on with the people serving in the military. But I think it's hard to connect with what the families go through. Now, fortunately, Dad was active duty during Cold War time, so Dad was off on two med tours and a couple of other odd things that he went off on. But Dad was around a lot, but I can still remember the excitement when Dad came home from being off at sea for a while, and what Mom went through trying to, just me, only child, so it was a fairly light load on Mom, and the Navy wives would all get together, and do stuff. So there was some support there, but even so, it's very disruptive to family life when service members are deployed. And I'm not sure that most civilians get any sense of how disruptive family life is. Now, Mom and Dad stayed together. I managed to survive to this age, so I must be basically okay. But it's a tough road, and so I really appreciate what you're doing with families. Because,
There's only a handful of us serving the family life. My dad served Army Air Corps during World War II and was a bomber pilot. Came out, used his GI Bill, went to college, and became an FBI agent. Dad's military career was before I was born. I'm a baby boomer. I didn't have that, but what I did have was FBI agents doing Dad's line of work. He did national security work. He was never home. When I was a little girl, he infiltrated the mafia in Detroit and did undercover work for 5 years, trying to catch the bad guys. And he would be gone months on end. We'd see him every 3 or 4 months maybe, and he'd come home for a weekend and have to go back. I found and broke my leg when I was 10 years old. I had a cast from here to my belly, from the top of my thigh to my toes. I was so little that I couldn't walk, I couldn't carry the weight. He had to come out from undercover and give up that position to come home and help my mother take care of me. And I was the oldest of 3 at that time, a new baby in the house. So we sort of lived it. The military says we PCS. I moved every 3 or 4 years whether we needed it or not. My dad, later in his career, did national security work with the Air Force. He was over the security of 2 strategic air command bases in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. So we grew up with that. Dad could never tell us what he did, and only now doing the work I'm doing am I understanding what he did. Putting together when he went to, my dad was a marksman on the FBI SWAT team. Had to be ready to go anywhere in America with phone call. So he always had a go bag. And I didn't understand this at the time. I was 14, 16 years old. Now I've come to understand my father was a sniper. And, to figure that out now, it's like, wow. Did he ever pull the trigger? I think he did, because my father changed. When I was about 30 years old, he changed. Dramatic change in that. And I even asked him, and he said, I don't talk about it. I won't answer the question, but that's my answer. So, but the one, to your point, I met a doctor, a psychologist a couple years ago who volunteered to go in the military, to have military experience so he could work with the VA. Crazy, but he did it. He described it to me this way. When he deployed and he went to Iraq, they were all at the airport, 2 little boys, they were 4 and 6, I think, when he left. And he said, they said their goodbyes, and he walked across the tarmac to get on a bus to go out to the C-130 on the field. And he said, Lynn, I knew I could hear my kids. Bye, Daddy, bye, Daddy, bye, Daddy. He said, I could not turn around and look at him because I knew I wouldn't get on that bus. Because he could have been saying, he could have been saying goodbye to his kids and his wife for the last time. The kids know this too, and they stuck these feelings, and then they have to deal with them. This crap comes out when they're adults. So I talk about it more openly now than ever because we've got to get civilians to understand what we're asking these men and women to do. Take war out of it for a minute and deal with something like that you might be saying goodbye to your loved one for the last time. And then the happy reunions we see, those are great, but then they go home. And that's when their real work starts. And I've talked, did you have a question, sir?
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah.
No, but we got time, we got time.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
Any other questions? Then thank you, first of all, for what you do.
Thank you.
Those of us who've been in the military and connected, virtually everybody here has some connection, understands the need for helping families. And every time I hear your presentation, you add more to it, you're doing more and stuff. I'm absolutely amazed by what you can do. I hope things work out for you in Burke County. We have a little gift for you. Our own Wayne Honeycutt right here. He's a master craftsman. And he has, this is a coaster for you.
Okay.
And from Hickory Sunrise Road to Lynn, we thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I left out across the bottom of our banner, will you join us? Forgot to say how you can help us. We need funding. Not asking y'all to donate, but we need to meet movers and shakers who can write big checks. We had fundraising coach that said if you can get one check for $100,000, the rest will come. So I'm looking for that $100,000 check. Does it mean 10 people go together and each write 10,000 but give me one check? Yes. We can make it work. But if you want to come to camp, you're welcome to come visit us. We always welcome visitors. You're welcome to come and bring your family. The 3 ways to help us is apply to come, donate, or help us meet donors, and volunteer.
Thank you very much. A couple of messages before we leave. Roger, you have you sent me an email about opportunities to volunteer. Have you shared with the club what that is?
Rick, while I pull that up, do you want to make another announcement or go to somebody else? Give me just a second to pull that up.
Okay. All right. Okay. The bulletin, thanks to Kenny and Gavin especially. When I have a bulletin, we've updated everything except one thing on the back. Next week we'll have Donald with a check mark under past president, and where it says on the front, Rotary Foundation, Rhino's name will be on that. I think we caught up and stuff. On page 2 of the bulletin, I'm guessing, Gavin, that came from you, from the information there. So anything that you can find and everything, please continue to do that. If anybody has anything for Gavin to go on that side, please feel free to give it to him. On the 3rd page for the president, I'm going to put a little comment each week, just for us to be thinking about Rotary. So that's what the from the president is. And if you see anything on the back that is not correct, please let us know, and we'll get it corrected as quickly as we can. Rhino is not here because he's not ambulatory, is his word. His wife brought the camera over to our house last night. He came back to the doctor with a blood clot in his leg. And basically the doctor is saying, take some aspirin and call me in the morning. You know, just relax and see what happens. Of course, Nancy's not real happy with that. She would want a little more information, and Rhino, being Rhino, just rolls with the punches. But please keep him in your thoughts. Next week we'll have a club assembly, and we'll be meeting back in our regular room. And Wayne, here's another $1 for you because I owe you an extra $1 for not telling everybody we were meeting here. All right. All right, Roger.
I So a volunteer opportunity. I've been in contact and participated with North Carolina SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management. They're having a statewide conference, which is kind of a big deal for our local chapter to have a statewide conference, because that means everyone, all the other local SHRM organizations from around the state are going to come to Hickory. The conference is September 27th through the 29th, and it's at the Hickory Metro Convention Center. It's also a big deal. Roy Williams is going to be the keynote speaker there, so it's going to have a big draw from that. But they're needing help and volunteers to help, primarily for pre-conference setup. And so an opportunity on Tuesday, September 24th, for stuffing conference bags, helping with setup. And I just mentioned it to Rick and wanted to put it out to the group for anyone that might be interested in helping with that. It would also be a good networking opportunity for a lot of different business leaders, human resources professionals that participate in SHRM. So I wanted to offer it up to the group for consideration, or anyone that would be interested in volunteering. We can coordinate it through Rick and I, or just myself.
And I'll forward that email to everybody so you can see what he was talking about. Any other information from anybody? If not, let us stand and adjourn.
Of the things we say, is the truth, is it fair?